When I was in a car accident, I asked them, "Would you please scan the brain also?" So because I've went to Roskilde University Center and the opponent group, and when I wrote with a Icelandic Finnish young woman about schizophrenia and music therapy, the opponent group, which means that we were to ask critical questions for her to show her knowledge and argue for her whatever conclusion she had drawn from the examining, and in relation to the hypothesis, or we called it something else, the problem, like it was problem solving academic work, and then so that showed back then the knowledge they had was that there was increased activity in the frontal cortex, but it has changed since then. Now they believe it's the decreased activity in the frontal cortex, which makes much more sense, seeing that it has to do with regulating emotions when it comes to psychopathic, which means lack of empathy, which means that you cross the other people's, you do not respect other people's intimate sphere, whatever it's called, that you are, that people who have psychopathic traits, they don't feel the natural empathy for other people, for the ability to understand what would it be like to be in someone else's shoes and be in the situation that another person is in. So, so they scanned my brain, and that was my whole body, and they said there's a lot of brain activity. Me having explained an increased activity in the frontal cortex, but then I found out, as I said, that it's not an increased activity but decreased activity, which is also makes sense because it's a lot of it comes from the environment that you grew up in, or maybe some children can grow up in environments that could cause that kind of brain deficiency, brain damage. But then that some children have other role models. They have role models from friends, family, or in school where they take on a bit more responsibility, and then they are obliged to. So what I made them say is that I am not a psychopath, even though they thought that it would maybe not. They didn't mention the frontal cortex, but maybe it could mean that. But it's the other way around. It's different. It's the lack of brain activity in the frontal cortex, because there needs to be activity or some parameter, I don't know, something that tells you there has to be something that regulates, I think, maybe, that in order to regulate how do you behave towards other people, it has to do with the relations to other people that you have the ability to understand people's emotions in relation to what they, in the situation they are in, and to put yourself not like I am that person, but to you get some. It's natural that if someone tells me something horrible that is within the, like if someone talks about something that's so distant from what is normal in the society that I live in, for example, war is very difficult to understand what it would be like. Bombs, explosions, having to hide somewhere in the basement, trying to get away from attacks, and not, it's very difficult to understand. Then, okay, how do I understand? I try to think about something that's similar. That's the way to, so I would think, well, if I've experienced people not accepting me, not understanding something that's very simple and very easy in my world to understand, especially when it's been explained by me so many times. I have made drawings to understand it, written down the words, trying to visualize, and I have been chased away and not, but been asked to, with the money I paid as the deposit, to move away because of the harassment that it was bothering some of the neighbors. And then being on the, not run, but being chased away, being asked to move away because of harassment. Well, that's something that's a bit similar. It makes it difficult to have a foundation in your everyday life. It's a bit shaky foundation, and it makes other things, like things you do, more difficult, because it influences everything. If there's not, if you don't have the foundation, that you have to take all your things and then you try to create a home again, and also other behaviors from the people working in the system having destroyed it. So I think I have some kind of possibility of understanding better than, but this is within something that people understand. If they talked about their children, how it gave me examples, then it would be easier to understand, because I understand having children. I understand I love my children, and so on.